I think I just let her in.
Is that Mr. Moyer? Matthew?
Yes, good evening, Matthew Moynihan.
Moynihan, sorry, it went to ... so I didn't know what happened after MOY, so sorry about that.
Thank
You got too many letters in your name, sorry.
And Mr. Moynihan, you're here with Colonel James Manny?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And your title?
I'm a captain with the state police.
Captain, thank you very much, Captain. And is it Captain Moynihan?
Yes,
Thank you. Sorry to be doing this at the last minute, but
that's fine. Thank you.
we had a little hiccup.
Yes, 3670, Matthew Marola.
And Colonel Manny, do you have anybody else with you here?
No, I don't. I also see Scott Avedisian though, so I'd like to say hello to him. Friendly face.
Colonel, how are you? Captain, how are you?
Hi,
Hold
Scott.
on a minute here. None of this mainland talk. Hold on.
Sorry.
No.
All right, Sven, you are live on YouTube and Kathy Marola and all the available counselors are in the meeting.
Good evening, everybody. This is this is the opening of the New Shoreham Town Council meeting on Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. Unfortunately, First Warden Andre Boudreau cannot be here tonight, and so I will be presiding, and we'll go through the agenda as is and was filed. And as everybody knows, we are under sort of the COVID adjustments and restrictions to have a Zoom and internet-based online meeting. I would like to actually make a motion to adjust the agenda. We have Colonel James Manny and Captain Moynihan here with us. I'd like to make a recommendation to the council that we move item 6, which is appointment of acting police chief, up to item 1 and flip them. Can somebody make a motion on that?
So
or-
moved.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved. Okay. Keith, can you vote? Yes.
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes,
Thank you. And I vote in the affirmative as well. It passes unanimously. Mary Ann, are you on?
sorry, thank you. Yes, I am on.
Thank you very much for the last minute shuffle here. And we've moved the appointment of the police chief, acting police chief, up to item number 1 and would love your lead.
Okay, thank you. In recent weeks, I've been working with Colonel James Manny of the Rhode Island State Police in the transition of the new police chief and other issues. As of March 1st, a senior member of Rhode Island State Police command staff will serve as acting police chief. Ben Carlone will continue to work for the town until April 14th, wrapping up some ongoing work and court cases. Chief Carlone has completed 40 years of service of law enforcement, a remarkable accomplishment in stressful times, and the last 17 years as police chief here on Block Island. He is polished, professional, committed to the residents and visitors of this fast-growing island. Chief Carlone loves Block Island and its residents, and has been a steady steward when today's law enforcement challenges and responsibilities transcend traditional police work. Finn has had a profound effect on the families and individuals of Block Island, preferring to work individually and quietly. Let's not forget the decency delivered daily with law enforcement, a delicate balance. Well done, Chief Carlone. Please join me in wishing Finn well in his retirement years. And at this point, as your town manager, I am recommending, with the help of Colonel James Manny, Captain Matthew Monahan as the acting chief as of March 1st.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Maybe we can have a little discussion about it, but as importantly, I'd like to thank Colonel James Manny and really for all the partnership, the work you've done with the town managers, and really appreciate it. And Captain Monahan, very excited and look forward to getting with you and meeting up. Marianne, are you thinking starting March 1st? And do you want to discuss at all the search process, or is that a different subject?
Sure. No, I'll be happy to discuss the search. As you all know, the search began. Application closed on February 12th. We did receive 12 individuals that are interested in the position. Colonel Manny has offered his service to sit on the search committee. As I advised the council some time ago, I would ask another town manager from another community to join the search, as well as myself and 2 town employees who I have identified but not have spoken to as of yet. We would begin the interviewing process and anticipate hopefully having a new police chief to present to you within a couple of months.
And if I could just ask one more question, and I do see that number 2703 has a raised hand, and I'll get to you after the council speaks. Just a quick question, Marianne. You're thinking in a couple of months, so Captain Moynihan would be functioning sort of through the summer. So he and his team and whoever he selects in that team would be here for the summer?
I'm sorry.
At this point,
I can answer that if you'd like.
Okay, please,
Yeah,
please.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's fine.
Mr. Reesum, I have a statement that I can give, a brief statement, and also a plan that we have for the New Shoreham. I can give that statement and give that plan anytime, whatever your wishes are. Now,
That would be very nice if you could do that now. That would be great, and then we'll hear from other council members. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry to have jumped into that. Sorry.
No problem. And once again, Ms. Crawford, I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No worries.
This will take a few minutes. First, I want to thank the members of the New Shoreham Town Council and the town manager for the opportunity tonight to speak. I'll give a brief statement and then go into the transition plan as well as the selection plan. I have a very long, those of you that know me on this call, I have a very long history with Block Island. My first visit was 40 years ago, and I immediately fell in love with the island. My family has been vacationing there for almost 30 years. They have deep ties to the island. I also have been deer hunting there for about 25 years, so I've run into several of you. But more importantly, I've worked for 11 summers on Block Island as a Rhode Island State Trooper, from 1998 to 2010, every summer except for one of those. I've come to love everything about the island, the natural beauty, the people, the sense of community, the pride, even the politics, which is a big component of that island. I also wear a Block Island wedding band that I didn't get married on Block Island, but I wear the wedding band to remind me of my connection to that island. I have a vested interest in that island. That's why I'm more than eager to help out, not only my official capacity as the superintendent of the state police, but also for what the state police represents. The Rhode Island State Police was founded in 1925. If you read the original book, The Amateurs by the first superintendent, it talks about Block Island.
703?
It talks about Block Island. And we will continue to serve Block Island the same way the first superintendent did from 1925 until now. Approximately 2 months ago, Chief Carl Owen called me to advise that he was going to retire. He asked me to assist in the transition and the selection of a new police chief. And of course, I said yes. I immediately contacted your town manager, Marianne Crawford, and offered my services. And that's where the planning started for about over a month now. The chief and I go way back. He's been in law enforcement 40 years, and so have I, nearly 40 years. Chief Carl Owen retired from the Narragansett Police Department in 20 plus years. After 20 plus years of service, he had a great reputation, especially as being a tenacious investigator. In 1981, I started on the Park Police, Rhode Island Park Police, and I worked with his brother Russell, and that's how I came to know the chief and his family and his law enforcement ties with his two brothers. In 2004, I believe that was the year, Chief Carlone started working on Block Island after he retired from the Narragansett Police Department. That's when I started working very closely with him. I found him to be a very hands-on police chief, more so than any chief I've ever worked with. He made arrests, arraignments, transported prisoners, and did paperwork just like every other police officer, which was extremely important for a small department such as Block Island. I also worked very closely with Chief McComb, who's also on this call, I believe. We had a great relationship as well, had a tremendous amount of respect for him. We had a very dangerous SWAT call in 1997 on Block Island. And if it wasn't for Chief McComb and the way he handled that incident, it could have turned out much, much worse. I have tremendous respect for him personally and professionally as well. One thing I'll say about Chief Carlone is this. Most police chiefs last 3 to 5 years. He gave 17 and a half years of his life to the town of New Shoreham, and he should be commended for that. He was instrumental for keeping this island safe, because as you all know, as residents, it wasn't always that way. We had some tough summers there, and we had some work to do. So I will leave you with two thoughts on Chief Carlone before I discuss the transition. The first incident I had where I recognized how hard he was working was way back when he first got on as the chief. Race week was in session, and some of you I could see smiling because you know what race week entails. It's like spring break for 40 or 50-year-olds. So many of the sailors were acting unruly. We had a very busy night, doing numerous arrests for disorderly conduct and numerous other things. In the middle of all this, at like 1 or 2 in the morning, I saw Chief Carlone show up. He knew we were busy, along with the members of the New Shoreham Police Department, and he right away worked with us throughout the night. That really impressed me. But the funniest story I had with Chief Carlone was this. A pro hockey team came to the island on a big boat one year, and they were pretty rambunctious group for a couple of nights. So we tried everything we could to really calm them down or make them just be a little more orderly. It really didn't work. So after I worked until about 3 in the morning on one Saturday night, I got a knock on the door at the Coast Guard station where I was staying. Chief Carlone was there in shorts, and he asked me to go for a ride with him on that Sunday morning. I said, "Do you need me to put my uniform on?" He said, "No, just let's grab a coffee and go for a ride." So he took me for a ride to Old Harbor. We got on a little tiny boat, he and I. We were both wearing t-shirts and shorts, so no one really knew who we were. And we boarded the boat with this pro hockey team on it. And the chief identified himself at that point as the police chief on Block Island, and me as the resident trooper on Block Island. And he asked to speak to the captain of the team, he came out along with many others. As you can imagine, they were pretty big guys being on the pro hockey team. He walked out and the chief said, "Look, we've given you several chances, but it's not working out. You've been unruly and you're causing the island some grief. We need you to leave now." So the captain looked at him and said, "Can you do that?" And he said, "Yes, I can." He said, "Okay." So we left the boat started up and they left and they didn't come back. So that just showed me how tenacious he was and how tough he could be if need be. So let's talk about the transition. You'll see on this call, it's Captain Matthew Moynihan. He has 24 years on the state police. He's currently the district commander in the uniform division, which is in charge of 150 state troopers in uniform. To be quite honest with you, he's one of the best I have. And it's a big sacrifice for the division of state police to send Captain Moynihan there. But we have several other very talented district commanders, one other, and then a uniform bureau commander that will pick up what the captain's leaving off on. So you're getting one of the best commanders I have. Captain Moynihan not only served in the uniform bureau, but he's also in the detective bureau, which would be a very useful tool to have on New Shoreham while he's working there. But I think the most important tool that he has is that he formed the Traffic Safety Unit in November of 2019, which was a partnership with the Rhode Island DOT and the state police for DUI, distracted driving, and all other motor vehicle related incidents.
Come here.
He was the one, Captain Moynihan was the one that back last summer when New Shoreham needed some assistance with a couple of very bad fatal accidents. He went out there, as I did myself, with 8 troopers, and we worked on the island for a couple of weeks, and hopefully we made a difference on that island. He was very instrumental. We will, speaking with Mary Ann Crawford, the town manager, this will be a work in progress. I offered to sit on the selection committee because once again, I have a veteran in this island, and I'm very hopeful we can find the perfect fit for that unique job as the Block Island Police Chief. So in closing, before I open up the questions, I would just say this. I wish nothing but the best for Chief Carlone. He's kept that island safe for a long time. The state police, as I said, has been assisting New Shoreham since 1925 when there were rum runners there, and it was in the first superintendent's book. And we will always continue to assist the town of New Shoreham. So I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
I appreciate that very much. Martha or Keith or Mark, do you have any questions?
I do, Sven.
Keith, go ahead.
Not a question, but a comment. Colonel, we met a number of years ago at a dinner, my wife and I, and so I know both from spending time with you and from really the important work that you and the captain did last summer, how important the island is to you, and you know what a small community we are, and you know how much we all care about how things are working or or not working. And I really appreciate the fact that you've stepped up here to help us out, because we are at a critical time for planning for a summer where we there's a lot of unknowns out there about what next summer is going to be like, not just for us, but I imagine, Colonel, for towns all over the state. Who knows what the COVID situation is going to be? Who knows about a lot of things? So I just wanted to say thank you. We really, really appreciate it. I think the things that you spoke about the captain's strength in terms of traffic, et cetera, obviously strike at the heart of a lot of what the community's concerns are. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Mr. Stover, and I promise we won't let you down.
Thank you.
Martha or Mark, any comments?
Sven, for Colonel Manning, we have 2 things in common. I've been out here some 40 years also, and I share the same love that I know you have. And we're both big fans of our own native son, wonderful Kyle Draper.
Yes, he's a great trooper.
Now, my question is for Captain Moynihan, and I don't want to put you on the spot or corner you, but are you interested? I mean, have you applied for the job?
Yeah, nope, you're not putting me on the spot at all, but no, I haven't applied for the job. I'm in my 24th year with the state police. I have, hopefully, God willing, 6 more good years that I want to stay with the state police. But as the Colonel mentioned, I was part of the team that came out this past summer. I think, as Councilor Stover indicated, you all are at a very critical point with planning for this upcoming summer. And we just want to make sure that we can assist with your efforts and plan ahead and be prepared come June.
Thank you both, and thank you, Mary Ann, for working this out.
Martha, any comments?
Nothing that hasn't already been said. Very much appreciate all the efforts that have been put into Block Island, and I feel very fortunate that we have a state police colonel who knows Block Island and doesn't just know Block Island in the summertime. And you going to come out here hunting again, Colonel Manny?
Martha, I look forward to hunting on your property again. I have a nice deer rack hanging in my cellar that I took on your property years ago. But that's supposed to be our secret, Martha. You're not supposed to share that.
Okay, I won't tell anybody.
I'm only kidding.
Well, I'm glad that you and your 42 friends now know all about that. I just want to thank Marianne very much for arranging this and coordinating. I too want to thank Chief Carlone. Years in service. I got to know him over the last year and a half, and he has clearly served the community and been a figure. And I appreciate everything he's done in the discussions we've had, because we had some very long and good, meaningful conversations. And really, I want to welcome Captain Moynihan, and I want to thank you. As we've said in many ways, this is going to be a big summer. I know that the town manager will and has probably briefed you on a lot, but we really appreciate your leadership and the state police. Mark did steal my thunder because I was going to talk about Kyle, because I know him extremely well. And boy, what a great team you all have. And Colonel Manny, congratulations to you. So we look forward, and I think we're very excited. I don't think, we are very excited to be on this new venture, and we appreciate all your support, Colonel Manny and Captain Moynihan, and look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. I believe if March 1st is about then.
Yes, sir. Mr. Reesum, we'll be working closely with the town manager to get all the logistics down, for March 1st. One question I did not answer of yours was, so we do plan to have Captain Moynihan out March 1st to May 1st. Hopefully we have a new chief that can be installed shortly after, and we'll take it from there. As far as who will be working this summer, the state police has always provided at least 2 troopers to work out over the summer, and we will continue to do that. As you can imagine, COVID's hit the whole world hard, but also state Rhode Island and the state police. Our manpower is very limited. So I can commit to at least 2 troopers working as we have in years past, and hopefully I'll present a plan to your town manager if more are needed. And if manpower permits, then we can also pick up that. I also might add, Captain Moynihan is coming out at no cost to the town.
And I was going to end on that, but I was holding that one. Thank you. And thank you very, very much for the partnership and the support. Like Martha said, you know the island around the year. Summer is one time, 8 months of the year another time, and we really appreciate all your support. Mary Ann, do you want to sort of close on this?
Just echo what everyone else has already said. I really appreciate Colonel Manny's reaching out to me and working with us as we go through this transition. And the summer's going to be busy, so the timing's perfect. And I don't doubt for 1 minute that Captain Moynihan will not hit the ground running. And I do appreciate everyone's effort in this.
Now, just as a logistical moment, if anybody in the public has anything, I'm looking for raised hands. I don't see any. So I'm going to take that as a no. Everybody is incredibly excited and appreciative, and no questions at this time. And
do you need anything from us, Marianne, in terms of a motion? Does there have to be an appointment? How does that work?
Since this is my first official appointment of a town department head, it's my understanding I got it right here in the charter. The charter states the chief shall be employed by the town manager with the advice and consent of the town council. So Councilor Marola, can you help us out with what the charter means by consent?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, advice and consent. You would make the proposal to the town council, and they would make a motion to consent to your proposal under the charter.
Okay, I will make a motion of consent to have Captain Moynihan join us March 1st as interim chief, with all the assistance of Colonel Manny and the state police as needed.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Martha. Any discussion? Keith,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
I vote yes, that's unanimous. Once again, thank you both so very, very much. And we look forward to hearing reports from Mary Ann and anything we can do to help you. We appreciate it. And thank you again to Chief Carlone for all the years of service and the work you have done. So thank you very, very much. We moved that item so you could now go and do your business. And we really appreciate you taking the time to join the meeting, both Colonel Manny and Captain Moynihan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Next on the agenda then is, which technically was the first item, but it's now two, public hearing on proposed amendments and revisions to the New Shoreham Home Rule Charter to be voted at the March 2nd, 2021 referendum election. My understanding, Marianne, is that, or Kathy, we need to open a public meeting to discuss this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'd like officially to open a public meeting to discuss the proposed amendments and revisions to the New Shoreham Home Rule Charter, which will be voted on March 2nd, 2021 at the referendum election. Do I have a second? Somebody second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? I think we, actually, Keith, would you mind reviewing each one of the edits and changes and discussing it? No, just joking. I think we all went through.
The answer is yes, I would mind.
I think we all went through this in a lot of detail, but I want to make sure.
You know, he asked you and not me on that one.
Yeah, right.
But I want to make sure that the public technically has the ability to weigh in or ask any questions. We've had multiple meetings on this, but we just wanted to have an open public meeting to make sure that any discussion on the Home Rule Charter edits could be discussed now. So if any council members have any questions, raise your hand. Or let me know. Yep, Martha.
This isn't a time for any changes, is it? The ballot's been printed, has it not?
Yes,
Correct.
It has. Yes, it has.
Okay, just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And following no council members' discussions, is there anybody in the public that would like to raise any questions regarding the amendments and revisions to the Home Rule Charter to be voted on March 2nd, 2021 at the referendum election? Seeing no hands raised and hearing no voices. Sean, if you see anybody, let me know, but I don't see anybody. With that, I make a motion, give everybody 10 more seconds. I make a motion to close the public hearing, having heard no public comments and no questions from the town council. So I make a motion to close the public hearing regarding the proposed amendments and revisions to the New Shoreham Home Rule Charter to be voted on March 2nd, 2021 at the referendum election. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Keith Sover. Mark, or can we go around and vote on the second and the motion to close? Mark?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
Keith?
Yes.
Sven votes affirmative as well. That's a unanimous vote. So the meeting is now closed, and we hope all 40 people that are now on the call will be voting on March 2nd, 2021, and saying hi to Molly when you vote in Town Hall. And we really appreciate everybody's support. Okay.
Sen?
Yep, Martha?
Sen?
Yep.
Don't we have early voting?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do, Martha. Thank you. I appreciate that. There is voting going on now, and if you need to, if anybody needs to check on hours, you can do that at town hall unless we need to talk about it here.
Then
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to let everyone know that voting's available from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, until Monday, March 1st. The election will be up at the school from 9 to 8
On the 2nd?
on the 2nd, correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. And Marianne, are you good with the public comment?
I was just wanting to remind the second warden that public comment was on the agenda and we moved item number 6 up. I don't think you did public comment, so I was just a reminder of that.
I apologize. Thank you. Thank you. Let me step back a little bit. Thank you very much. So a couple of things. One, warden's report, and I am breaking the agenda a little bit, but warden's report, unfortunately, Andre could not be here at the last minute. I, as second warden, have no input, but there is a period of public comment, and I should have brought that up, and I apologize. But with Colonel Manny and Captain Moynihan, I skipped that. If there is any public comment for any non-agenda item, would appreciate seeing a raised hand. Alrighty, seeing no public comment, raised hands. I'm now looking through all the little boxes here. We will end the public comment and continue on. Thank you, Marianne, from a process point of view. Next item on the agenda is to discuss and act on possible amendments to the Emergency Ordinance 2 of the Town of New Shoreham adopted May 27, 2020, as amended pertaining to the communal housing and other issues during the COVID-19 pandemic. Does anybody have anything to discuss on this issue? And I know that Dr. Warcup is on the phone. And I don't know, Dr. Warcup, if you want to mention anything. Or not now.
So we've had a terrific last couple weeks here in the state as well as in the surrounding New England region. So Rhode Island's 7-day positivity rate is down to 2.7. That's the lowest it's been in quite some time. And in April, it was at 16.4. So as a reference, that's quite impressive. We've had a huge success with obtaining greater allotments of coronavirus vaccine. A big thank you to Senator Sosnowski, Representative Filippi, and all the community members that advocated for the Block Island community. So this Saturday, we're having a collaborative effort between EMA, the town, and BIHS to have a large coronavirus vaccination event like we had January 30th. We're hoping to vaccinate more than 180 community members. We will have everyone 75 and older on the island vaccinated Saturday. We are also keeping a contingency list for those individuals that we may be able to vaccinate based on having some extra vaccine. The EMA director, Billy McComb, has personally reached out to every one of those individuals that are being vaccinated on Saturday to be given their time slot. A big thank you to all the work that Mr. McComb has done. And this is a huge success, I think, for the island community. And we are looking forward to Saturday's event.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warcup. Any other council members have any comments or questions? Yes, Keith.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warcup, for your work, and Bill McComb and Kira and Claire and you know the whole group, and Tracy Fredericks, et cetera. I'm wondering, and I hope this is not an inappropriate question, but I got an email from a member of the community who was, you know, wondering whether we as the town council or, you know, I know that the community has done some of this, should be more directly advocating for an increased number of doses to come to the town. And it sounds like in some respects, you know, perhaps a dam has broken there. But I guess, you know, I think everybody would agree if there is any value to having, you know, the town council, you know, make a request to the governor or to the Department of Public Health, given the fact that the tourist season is kind of breathing down our necks, which I think is what people are concerned about. I know I'd be happy to do it. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I think everybody else would be happy to do it if you think it would be helpful.
I think it's a great question. I think you'll be very happy and proud of the work that's been done. I think the advocacy has been proper. There's a tipping point where the advocacy can become a bit much at the state level and the DOH level. I would say in synopsis, they've heard us. They have responded to our requests. I think our biggest benefits have been the argument that we don't have a CVS and Walgreens on the island, which is clearly part of a national and state strategy to vaccinate individuals. And if we're going to use a census, the island population isn't always represented accurately because of the transientness of the population that can be undercounted at times. So all those things put together, I think, has given the right amount of advocacy, and they've heard our message and they've responded appropriately.
Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of the efforts that you're making, as I think, each of us has tried to,
Hey, Mary Ann,
attempt to
Scott.
express.
Sorry to bother you, but
So thank you. I just, if there's a need for advocacy, I think, we in the community, stand ready to engage in whatever way you think is worthwhile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to echo the sentiments that thank you to Bill, to Tom, to Dr. Orcup, to Ms. Combe, Tracy, and everybody on the first responder effort, and everybody getting that in. Sorry, Martha, go ahead.
No, I was only going to say that it feels like the message that the amount of work that's been done and the amount of success that's been reached by the team that is working on this with the assistance from upstate is being lost. We're still acting like we're getting 10 doses, and we're doing a lot better than that. And I do think this. I would just follow Dr. Walkoff's lead. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the island should be proud that our percentages by the end of Saturday will be likely one of the highest per capita vaccinated communities. So for 75 and older.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up on that, Dr. Warkup. I couldn't hear you, so I'm sure nobody else heard that on a recording.
Okay. The 75 and older community will be vaccinated as of Saturday, which is great.
Congratulations, and again, thank you. Mark, any comments?
My only comment is that the people on the island keep overachieving. It's obvious that we're having success on this particular item, and don't allow yourselves to get any kind of COVID fatigue and let down your guard, because what's working is working well. So let's keep it up.
All righty. I think that is the council. I know Brad Martins has his hand up. If anybody else wants to chime in on this COVID discussion, which is agenda item now 3, please raise your hand. Brad, you can unmute yourself, or can Sean, can you unmute him?
Thank you, Sven. I think my comments really had to do with the way it was listed on the agenda about communal housing and a question with regard to that. I think everyone is doing a phenomenal job and should be commended. So I'll leave that alone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brad. I think that's the end of this item, unless anybody else has something. Speak up. Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss and act on possible amendments to the emergency ordinance 3 of the town of New Shoreham, adopted June 24th, 2020, masks as amended pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic. Anybody on the council want to discuss any issues or concerns? Not hearing any or seeing any motions. The only thing
It's Martha again.
Oh, sorry, Martha. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, the only thing that I would note, perhaps people haven't been as what on every meeting the way we've been, that this is the language that we have on virtually every agenda, and it's always the same language because it reflects the ordinances that we have in place, and the same language will appear again and again until, God willing, this is over. And that may be really, really screamingly clear to us, but perhaps not to everyone else.
Thank you, Martha, for that. And that is, you're exactly right. On this one, this agenda item, which they really do roll together, for all of the great work that Dr. Warcup, Billy McComb, Tracy, I mean, everybody has been doing, and I credit everybody. I think we as the town council, as the town, as citizens, need to be really strong in making sure we keep up with and vigilant regarding the three main COVID protection methods, which is about social distancing, about masks, and about washing, cleaning hands. And while parts of the population are getting vaccinated, and thank goodness we continue to do well on that front, especially as more people start coming March, April, May, I just ask all people on Block Island to be vigilant on those three things: mask, social distance, and washing hands. And I know everybody's heard this message a million times. Maybe we'll have to do it the second million. But let's make through as safe as possible. And I appreciate everybody's help in living and following safe health practices. Okay, any other discussions on this subject? Hearing none, I'm going to move to the next one, which as written is discuss and act on proposal for Jitney pilot program for summer 2021. I personally take rebuke at the word jitney, so I'd like to say shuttle, and discuss and act on proposal for shuttle pilot program for summer 2021. But Marianne, do you want to have a few words on this to start?
Excuse me, Sven.
Oh, yes.
Do we have any recusals on this one?
Yes.
Would anybody like to recuse? Martha Ball, I heard yes, and Mark Emanuel, I heard yes.
Yes.
And I think that puts us down to a no quorum.
No quorum on this 405 of the charter.
So therefore, we're, thank you, Kathy. I was going to get there. So therefore, we're going to skip this till the next meeting, Marianne, or when can we reschedule, or should we reschedule?
The next meeting is March 1st. Do you want to table it until March 1st?
I would like to do that. Yes. And since we can't have a quorum, is that okay with you? Otherwise, we'll have to have a special meeting.
Sure. The only other option would be a special meeting.
I'd be fine to table it to March 1st. And if
Can I ask, as a point of order for Kathy Marola, can they discuss the two proposals and not vote, or they can't do anything at this point?
At this point, there's not a sufficient quorum under the charter to discuss.
Okay.
So I think that the recommendation of the second warden to put it on to March 1st makes a lot of sense, if that's the council's pleasure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I believe that's the council's pleasure, but I want to make sure with the town manager that we don't need to have any special meetings earlier. I mean, on March 1st, we can still make some deadlines by some of the discussions that happened, I believe. Yes?
Correct. Richter was looking for a March 1st timeline, so I think at this point, I think continuing to March 1st will be okay. I think they have a little bit of wiggle room.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the mayor and everybody that attended here. I'm sorry that we don't have a quorum, and I appreciate everybody's patience and help with this, but unfortunately, First Warden Boudreau had to not be here, so I appreciate it. Mayor, I appreciate you being here and hopefully coming back March 1st.
We will be there.
Thank you very much, sir. Alrighty, moving on to the next item, and thank you for all the folks, Mayor and others in your group to have been here, and anybody else that was here for the shuttle discussion or jitney discussion. And I'm sorry to move that to March 1st, but such is the way. Next item on the agenda is report of town manager. Marianne, your table.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just get myself organized a little bit here.
Join the group.
Our library continues to operate in a hybrid fashion with a virtual program. A recent addition includes virtual knitting night with many participants. The library is also celebrating Black History Month with a daily education post on their Facebook page. Library staff has sent nearly 100 homemade Valentines out to community members, mainly to our senior population and others, including an introduction to Smell Aroma, the library's newest senior program. Staff also delivered brown paper wrapped books around town as part of the annual blind date with book program. A thank you to all the staff for their unending creativity and hard work during the COVID pandemic. The window project, the good news, the window project is anticipated to be completed by the end of this month. As we talked about briefly earlier in the meeting, the statewide election is taking place on March 2nd. There are several bond issues proposed and of course our own charter amendments are on the ballot. 114 people have applied for mail ballot. Early voting has started at Town Hall. Turnout to date has been low. The poll worker salary for the recent vote is covered by the grant we received from the Center for Election and Innovative Research through the Rhode Island Secretary of State's office. Polls will be open at the school on election day from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. with appropriate PPE and social distance. We hope to have more digital records loaded into our land evidence system by the end of the month, with the vendor beginning the process next week. Documents will be loaded in 1-year increments going back to 1974. There is no estimate as to how long this phase will take. IQUS, who's the vendor, has a robust and efficient search function. Linking images on the page to their index will allow everyone access to New Shoreham land evidence records remotely without the need of staff time. Town of New Shoreham, Plat 3, Lot 155, known as Andy Ways off Corn Neck Road. The application for a special use permit for the construction the new public access walkway in Andy's Way. The decision to be rendered on March 3rd. Once that happens, application will be sent to CRMC. Once the March 3rd zoning board decision is made, bid specifications are in the final stage. Still anticipating project completion by the end of the May, anticipating of the summer season. I know we have a lot of construction work going on the island right now, but we're going to have some more. The water main project on High Street will begin on March 21st, approximately March 21st. The project involves in placing approximately 3,800 linear feet of a 10-inch water main along Payne Road and High Street. The replacement will start on Payne Road at 1,100 feet and terminate in the vicinity of 45 High Street. On Payne Road, the new water main will be installed along the north side of the road between the existing water main and current water main. On the High Street, the new water main will be located on the west side between the concrete walls and existing sewer main. The new 10-inch diameter water main will be fabricated from PVC pipe and will be connected to the existing 10-inch PVC water main on High Street. It is anticipated that the project will be substantially completed by the end of May. In the fall, the contractor will return to Micro Mill High Street and overlay the road from curb to curb. We will push to try to get this project completed prior to school start. Project manager, project engineer, and water superintendent will provide weekly updates to the medical center, school, and the police department. The integration of e-permitting rollout continues. We are scheduled to complete the implementation by early spring. And the rest of my report I gave at the beginning of the meeting, and that's all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Very, very much, Mary Ann. Any questions from the council?
Now, Mary Ann, Old Harbor looks barren now without all that artillery in there. And thanks to you and the harbor master for everything that's taken place there.
I thought that was a third city. Martha or Keith, any comments?
No, just a second. Well, not exactly. I really like the stuff in the harbor, but I thought, I think I mentioned this to Marianne, that our harbor master did a great job in communicating what was going on to the public. And I think that's important to note.
And if I can further that, I think the harbor master did an incredible job of managing multiple personalities, efforts, sometimes not always cooperative efforts. And I do want to thank the harbor master for an outstanding job, and actually a job that between, I guess, the harbor master and the town manager was done very quietly and professionally. So I agree with you, Martha. Thank
As
you.
I've said to you, kudos to the staff. It's definitely, Kate was the one that really ran with this and ran a lot of interference. So staff takes this one.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
run out there and take a picture. Run out there and take a picture of Old Harbor now. It's going to be different soon enough.
All righty. Keith, anything? Are you good? I'll take that as good. Taking on to the next agenda item, receive and act on recommendation of engineer James Jeremiah for a $22,962 change order for the West Side Road Sidewalk Project. Marianne, would you like to help us here?
Sure,
or-
absolutely. As you all remember, this was before my time, and I'm sure you remember that there was a sidewalk project going on with Cardi Corporation when the pandemic hit. It was decided to that it was in the best interest of all that project discontinue until further notice. Cardi had to mobilize and demobilize, and then they mobilized back. And at that point, there was a change order submitted for the time it took for the mobilization and demobilization. The change order is $22,962 for this cost. It is important to note that the project cost to date will increase to $735,799. This is still substantially under the original budget of $1.2 million. So our town engineer, Jim Jeremiah, is recommending, and I agree with this recommendation, that we approve this change order for Cardi Corporation.
And just to confirm, do we need a motion to increase it to $733,799 or to add the change order of $22,962? I'm asking what's the motion?
I would do both. I would do the both. I would make the motion to approve the change order to $22,962, increasing the total contract to $735,779.
Okay, I will make a motion and then we can discuss. I'll make a motion to change the West Side Road Sidewalk Project budget by $22,962 to a total of $735,799, $735,000.
$779, please.
Oh, sorry, $735,779. Sorry.
Correct.
In total, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Keith Stover. Any discussion?
Yes, Sven or Marianne, the increase of 22,000 plus, is that covered in any way, shape, or form by any bond insurance that the Cardis might have taken out?
I wouldn't consider that a bond insurance. We asked them, we being the town, asked them to vacate the island in the project. So we asked them, and that I look at this as a change order, if that makes sense to you.
Yes. And I do remember the ask is a COVID issue, and there was just a lot going on there. So, Mark, does that help?
Yeah, it's just that I remember well, whenever we do projects out here, usually there has to be some kind of bond insurance that I thought might cover this.
Yeah.
So we could save a little money.
Good question. Anything, Martha or Keith? Item is.
No, I have nothing. I don't even notice the sidewalk is there, which is kind of nice.
Item is, motion's been made and seconded. Keith Stover, vote.
Yes.
Excuse me, you may have a question from the public.
I apologize. I was looking for hands up. Any questions from the public? I didn't see any. Thank you, Molly. Any?
Does Chris Warfel have a question?
Okay, Chris, if you can unmute, or Sean, if you can help with that, please help us out here, Chris. Thank you.
I can only request that he unmute. I can't unmute him.
Okay, thank you. Chris, can you unmute? And if you have a question, would love to hear about it regarding the sidewalk. Chris Warfel? Hello, Chris Warfel.
He said he had a question. It may have been on another agenda item. So I apologize for the interruption.
Not at all. Chris, if you can hear me, if you could just confirm that you don't have a question, or if you did have a question, let me know. Alrighty. Hearing no questions, and Chris Warfel, if you do come back or you're able to, please unmute and let me know.
I've tried to unmute several times. Can you hear me?
You're back. Hey, Chris.
No, I never left. The question I had was, can you confirm that Cardi is not filing any insurance claim due to this COVID situation that would actually give them remuneration for this problem? Just make sure they have something in writing that they are not filing a claim with their insurance for this situation.
Marianne?
I don't have any knowledge of anything like that. I just have what's before me in the change order.
Yeah, most of the time.
We asked them to demobilize and left.
Okay.
I would ask that the council approve the change order.
Yep. Chris,
I would just like to make, well, it's an important question.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be dismissed so out of hand. I think it's important to know that Cardi's insurance policy did not cover this situation, because if it did, they should file a claim with their insurance company, and we should not be charged for that change order. That's my point. You can take it or leave it. That's it. You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. It's a great question, and understand it and appreciate the input.
I'll be happy to follow up with Jim Jeremiah and Cardi Corporation in the state of Rhode Island on this.
I will. I'm going to thank you, Marianne, and it's a great point. So thank you, Chris. Similar to Mark's questions, they're really good financial questions, looking out for the benefit of the town. I would like to go ahead and, I think we had the motion and it was seconded. Marianne, as follow-up, we'll check on that insurance question, but I'd like to get a vote. Mark?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes, again.
Martha?
Aye.
And I vote as well, unanimous in support of the 22,962 change order for the West Side Road sidewalk project. And Marianne, thank you for following up as a question with Jeremiah on the insurance question raised by Chris Warfel. Next item on the agenda, and let me just make sure with the public, I'm working from the screen here, and please, if you want to speak, try and raise your hand or unmute yourself and do jump in when I ask for public comment. I apologize to Chris that I didn't hear it right away, and Molly, thank you. The next item is to receive and act on recommendation from Sailfish Commission regarding annual sailfish closure dates for the Great Salt Pond 2021. I learned just a second ago that the dates were inadvertently not run by the Shellfish Commission. So I would like to move this to, Marianne, the March 1st meeting, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Thank you. Or if there's a Shellfish meeting right after that, we can do it, but I think sooner the better. So I'd like to recommend that we move this item to the March 1st agenda for the town council. Do we need to have a vote on that, Marianne? Or Kathy?
I think, Kathy, they can just, if they're moving, tabling it, they don't need to vote on that, do they?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. So we are now on to, and hopefully Chris Warfel is here, receive memorandum from Chris Warfel regarding Shell Collection and Recycling Program 2020. Marianne, do you want to mention anything? Or Chris, would you like to help us out with the memorandum? I have it here in front of me, but I don't think anybody else might. Chris?
I'm afraid, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, I was afraid to touch the phone again.
Well, back away from the vehicle and go for it.
Okay, so I have submitted similar reports to the town on this initiative in previous years. And I did follow up by providing some information from Nantucket on their shell collection program. I don't know if you have it, but
yes, we do.
Basically, okay, they hire somebody or interns to assist with this. And I'll just say, if it wasn't for the efforts of Phil Walsh in the restaurants that he works in during the summer, this program would not be very successful. Because Phil understands, I would say, the economic value for the restaurant and the environmental benefit of recycling shell. And my point is that we have on our own recycled a lot of shell from very limited participants. And it is similar to how you decided, in my opinion, to ban the use of plastic bags because they're going into landfills. Plastic bags could be used for other things. They could be recycled. They're an environmental hazard because they don't degrade very easily. Shellfish is not environmental. Shells are not an environmental hazard, but they don't degrade very easily. They're definitely able to be used for other purposes, which are valuable if recognized. And so I've been trying to give you this information in the hope that the town would not allow mollusk shells to be disposed of in landfills. It's really not a very smart thing to be doing. And if you think that banning plastic bags is going into landfills is proper, which I do agree with, then I think you should do something about requiring shells to be separated and recycled for the benefit of Block Island, similar in the way that Nantucket does it. I've given you some, basic tonnage values and the financial values. I don't think I gave you this year, but I did in previous years. I think it's a matter of education that a lot of the restaurants don't realize or cannot be bothered with the savings that they could incur from the recycling shell. I don't know what the tipping rate is right now for this, but it's substantial, I would think, to a restaurant, and they just may not even know it. But more to the point of the town's benefit, the shell can be used, and we use it for artificial reefs. It can be used for shore stabilization, as it's being done up and down the East Coast. So given that we're an island and subject to global warming and increasing ocean levels, it just doesn't make any sense to me that we're taking such a valuable island commodity and throwing it into the Johnston landfill. It doesn't make any sense. So that was my point. I just want to keep you aware of this and ask that, I don't know how you do this, but this is, I think, my third year of talking about this. Just like to see some recognition of its value and maybe work out a plan to monetize it for everybody's benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, very much. Don't touch the phone now. Before I go to the town manager for a minute, is any questions from the council?
Yeah, this dovetails into something that we've talked about, and that's the subject of composting. Chris, I know you and I tried this some 4 or 5 years ago, unsuccessfully. And yeah, I scratched my head too. Why aren't we doing more things like this? I don't know why every restaurant wouldn't embrace this idea, just to keep it out of the landfill. Another example, personally, I go to job sites and take all scrap wood. I haven't bought a scrap or a piece of firewood in over 20 years. Instead of all that scrap wood going to the dump and to a landfill, ultimately, I use it and I heat my house. There's simple win-win situations out here. And boy, this is one of them. So we did make a commitment early on that composting would be very much on the radar by this town council. So this just fits into that perfectly.
Thank you, Mark. Keith or Martha?
Yeah, I just have a question about what it would look like from Chris's perspective. Is he saying that we should have an ordinance saying that our land, I'm so new, I'm not sure how this works. We could pass an ordinance saying shell has to be recycled. And then do we have to have an infrastructure for collecting it, just out of curiosity?
I guess if I can interrupt, Chris, I'm sorry. So can you maybe give an opinion, Chris, but I do think that's also for the town solicitor and the manager, assuming we want to move this forward. But Chris, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, there's several ways that, if you decide it's beneficial to the town to do this. One is to put a higher rate for shell disposal into a landfill than recycling. Basically bring home the economics of this. And then Keith has hit the nail on the head with the issue is I think the collection and removal of the shell from the restaurants in a timely fashion, which is really paramount to the success of such a program. There's several programs that have gone on in Rhode Island. I just mentioned to you about the one in Nantucket. They have a dedicated person through an internship to do that. Now, what is the benefit for the town? In order to make this cost justified, but let's just remove the environmental benefit. The cost justification for the town could be used that this product displaces the need for other types of purchases that are transported to the island from off island. And how you use this has been suggested several times, basically for shoreline erosion. But you need to recognize where that can take place. And I've asked to do experimental projects with this commodity so you can see its benefit. But I think you really do need to figure out what is the economic benefit to the taxpayer from such a program. I have my ideas, and I guess that's where I'll stop.
Thank you, Chris, very much, and great question. Anything else, Keith, or can we move to Martha?
Oh, I'm good.
Thank you. Martha, any questions?
Yeah, I do, and I think I'm kind of the same place other people are on this. What is the roadblock within restaurants to doing this? It seems like a no-brainer, but clearly they don't think so, and I'm just wondering what their rationale is. If Chris has had conversations and knows.
Yeah, I do know, and it's like a lot of other things that happen in any community or program. It requires sometimes a champion to actually bring the point home to the participants and to make things easy. Restaurants are probably so focused on trying to make as much money as they can in the short time that they have that this is seen as just another headache that they have to manage. And they just give up because they don't want to deal with it because they've got so many other things to worry about. And I think the champion that can remove the headache, the logistical problems for the restaurant would really increase adoption of this.
Thank you. Anything else, Martha?
No, I'm just looking at logistics, and I guess things would still have to be separated at the restaurant. Have you had any conversation with any of the? There isn't a restaurant group out here, obviously. I don't know which places have produce the most shellfish. I just have no idea. But it does seem like some of the places.
As I said, Martha, historically, the successful programs, other communities give the restaurants a container for the shells to go into, and they're asked not to put in biodegradable things such as, plastics into that. And then that is picked up on a daily basis and brought to the recycling center. Now, Blog Island, I went through DEM and CRMC and got approval to have a shell recycling center at the transfer station. I believe it's just about the only one in the state. So we have a shell recycling center. We have that advantage that is permitted. And back to your question, I think why the restaurants don't do it, I always explain, I think just ignorance and just so many other things in the mind. But how the successful ones do it, and I'll just focus on Phil Walsh. He has all the shell put into a plastic bag, a big garbage bag. It gets put into a cardboard box. We pick up the box every couple of days and take it to the transfer station and put it into the defouling area where air dries, and then we can put it back onto these reefs. So it's not, according to Phil, and this would be really a good question for him, it's really not any difficulty at all. It's just doing it.
Thank you. And thank you, Martha. I know I want to get to Marianne, but to echo a little bit of Mark's comments before, we did agree that one of the goals that was identified in the goal setting session was about composting. And I think this does fit into that umbrella, and I agree very much. And to me, I would love to sort of see staff and some folks work on this, come up with a comprehensive plan, like Chris said, how do you do it, et cetera, et cetera. But Marianne, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you let staff take a look at this and review this? What we also can do is probably reach out to laws at the chamber.
Yep.
And reach out to the restaurants and go from there. That's what I would recommend at this point.
Yep, and that's where I was heading too. And I guess, Marianne, I know you've got one or two things on your plate, but it would be great, at least from a trial point of view, if there's any way to try and do some tests with the summer, because that's obviously the point of tension, both with the busy restaurants as well as lots of people picking up, et cetera. So, Chris, I want to thank you very, very much for, again, bringing this up. This council has now heard it. I think you've got a lot of support in the idea. Now let's figure out how to test and walk and figure out how to do it and what are the pitfalls. So hopefully staff or Marianne can work with staff, and then we can have at least some learning and some identification of opportunities. Thank you, Marianne.
Well, thank you for putting this on the agenda. I would say you should also include Madam Town Manager of the Nature Conservancy, because they have an awful lot of experience on the mainland with this, and they would probably be a very good resource to go to for technical information on cost, benefit, success, and the non-success of these kind of ideas.
Yep.
And also, I would definitely talk to Phil Walsh.
And I think the Block Island Conservancy, because I know they've been doing composting and collection quite a lot, and it was very successful. So thank you, Town Manager Marianne. That's really helpful. Thank you.
One other.
Sen, I got a phone call in to Save the Bay today, hoping to get a contact person too for a program that might fit what we need to emulate.
Mark, we should talk about that, because I know Jonathan very, very well, the president of it. So if you want to link into Save the Bay, I can help with that.
Super.
And one other thought on this, Marianne, is we do have shellfish wardens. And, I wonder whether talking to, including Kate in the group to see whether you could use that shellfish warden infrastructure, where you had one of it tends to be young people. One of their assignments would be an hour a day going around to some of the restaurants. Just a thought, given that we have those folks and we're paying for them. They work, I think, on the tide cycle, so it wouldn't be a consistent time every day, but just occurs to me that might be an opportunity to have someone.
Marianne, yep, thank you, Keith. Before Marianne, you closing, Sean McGarry has his hand up. Would love to hear from Sean if everybody doesn't mind. Sean, if you can unmute and
Yes, I'm here, Sven. How are you?
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Happy New, can you hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Great. It's a great idea. Anything we can remove from the waste stream is fantastic. But economics don't seem to drive these restaurants to do it. I mean, the current recycled products like cardboard, glass, plastics are currently less than half of the disposal cost, but they don't remove that from the waste stream. I think to support this, I don't want to say they, some do, some don't. But to support Chris in this objective, you'd have to set a mandate requiring that these restaurants do that. And like Chris said, we have the facility set up at the transfer station to receive it. And, collection is obviously at the forefront. We'd be willing to participate in assisting with collection any way that we can. Of course, contamination becomes when you go to a larger volume, which we would be collecting, contamination becomes a problem. But I think Chris's point is that if you don't mandate it, you're not going to get the participation. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And if you can lower your hand, the *8, *6 thing. So if you can lower your hand, that'd be great. And thank you, Sean, for bringing that up, because as Marianne and staff work through this, obviously you're going to be a pretty key player in this. And having been one who led the plastic bag project, I do believe that there are times you have to mandate and make regulations. Otherwise, some of these things don't get done. So looking forward to hearing from the town manager in follow-up. Any closing comments from anybody? Anybody in the public? Okay, Chris, Warfel, thank you very, very much for bringing this up and really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, folks. I'm signing off. All right.
Touch the phone. Next on the agenda is the legislative agenda. And I know we got all a number of notes from Molly, and Molly, thank you for sending those out. Marianne, I don't know if there's a timing crunch on this. I feel a little awkward talking about this without Andre, because it's a very important thing to Andre, and moving things up to the legislator and get it on the agenda. But I don't know if there's a timing issue till the next meeting, and should we delay this or go through it now?
What we were looking, because I had some preliminary conversations with Andre before the meeting, we were looking for just resolution to support some of the bills that are before the General Assembly. One was the Uber bill, and the other one was the net metering. And the net metering came from Jeff Walsh with the BIPCO. So what they were looking for is mainly a resolution from the council. It's my understanding the council has provided last year resolution regarding the Uber bill, so we'll be doing the exact same thing. And the net metering, I'm not sure about the timeline associated with that, in the sense of the General Assembly is kind of meeting from a distance anyway. If we get something to them right after the March 1st, we can put it on the March 1st agenda. I didn't hear of any urgency with the net metering, but it's my understanding that the Uber bill was slated to be heard, but was continued. So I would suggest maybe getting that resolution out. Molly, have you heard anything different from this?
I've heard nothing different, no.
Okay, so based on that, just to make sure I heard it, Marianne, let's discuss now and potentially vote on the Uber resolution, but we're gonna delay. Well, let's keep legislative agenda on the March 1st agenda. We will push net metering and any other conversations, but you'd like us to discuss the Uber resolution now. Is that what you're suggesting?
What I'm saying, then regarding legislative agenda, that's going to be on every agenda until the end of the session.
Okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
will be there. So
Keith, thoughts?
Do we have a quorum to do a resolution on Uber?
I don't.
that's a good question.
Let me ask this question. If we were to discuss Uber, thank you, Keith. Is anybody going to recuse from this vote?
I will.
Martha, will you be?
And we don't actually have a resolution in front of us, do we?
Right. No.
I don't think so. Is my next question.
So why don't we
Yeah,
continue?
normally, yeah.
So, but I guess my recommendation then, I thank you, Martha, and thank you, Keith. The recommendation then, Marianne, if you and Kathy or staff can take last year's resolution for Uber and maybe sharpen the pencil so that at March 1st, we can actually, or in the packets for March 1st, we can actually be able to vote on that. That would help. So then we can go ahead. And I think it's important that Andre's here because I heard from Mark that he will recuse and maybe Martha will as well. So then we're sharp. So we will delay this item or at least delay the Uber and the net metering discussion, and it will be on the agenda for March 1st. And hopefully we'll have the resolution for Uber at least in our packets for that meeting. Any questions?
Marianne, is the affordable housing request?
That was, we discussed that also this afternoon, and as I understand it, and Molly has spoken more to those folks that I guess they've gone back and up there 7 years in a row, 6, 7 years, and it hasn't gotten any traction. So they may not be as interested in putting that forward. And the fact that there's a bond issue before the voters of Rhode Island regarding affordable housing. And I think they would be more inclined to ask some folks to support that, although I don't want to speak for the Affordable Housing Committee.
Can you just reach base with them, Marianne, for that March 1st meeting? Because I think that is timely. Thank you, Mark. I know it's timely. All righty. If nothing else, we'll move on to the next agenda item. That was a pause of jumping in. The next item is receive recommendation to award bid for Eventide voice recording system for the police station of Interaction Insight Corporation in the amount of $15,432.35. Interaction Insight Corporation. We should all name our companies IIC. Anyway, Marianne, do you want to update us on this?
Yeah, but it's a recording system for the police station. We did send this out to bid. You folks, we have memos that we've included on the clerk base. So at this point, I would recommend that we award this bid in the amount of $13,432.25.
35 cents.
To 35 cents to Eventide, Interactive Insight Corporation in the amount of.
I'll make the motion, then we can have a discussion. I make a motion that we award the bid to Eventide voice recording system for the police station to Interaction Insight Corporation in the amount of $13,432.35. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Keith Stover. Discussion. Okay, isn't it amazing how long 5 seconds can be? Not hearing any discussion from the council. Is there any discussion from the public? Alrighty, not hearing any discussion from the public. I would love to take a vote. I'll say aye. Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
Sven says aye as well. It's a unanimous decision. Congratulations to the Interaction Insight Corporation. And we look forward to having our voices recorded for those that call into the police station. Item number 12 or 13. Review and approve deer and pheasant hunting dates for 2021-2022. Approve deer hunting dates for 2022-2023. Marianne, do you want to help us with a little bit of orientation here? I'm sure, yeah, I see Chris Blaine. I see your hand up. I'll be right there. I believe, Marianne, as you and I discussed earlier today, that the 2021 dates are already set. So maybe you can help me with what we need to do here. But if you could do an overview, that would be great. You're muted, Marianne.
The 2021, 22 dates, we did submit, and you can affirm those dates. And then we're looking to bring forward the 22-23 dates for next season. And that information is attached and included in your packet.
Yep. Anybody on the council, you have those dates in front of you, and I may ask somebody for a motion, Keith. But let's discuss first. Mark, questions?
It seems like every time we do this, there's a conflict in some way, shape, or form with the school calendar. I don't have a child in the school, so I don't know if there are any conflicts. Has that all been checked?
I don't think so.
The school calendar.
I don't think it's been checked.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Martha?
I don't think it's been checked because there's I don't know what the school calendar is, but there is a there's no break in February. And we last year decide to go through vacation? I honestly can't remember.
Excuse me, this is Molly. Point of information. You have decided to hunt through school February vacation in the past. The island empties out and it affords a couple of kids the opportunity to hunt.
And I remember
if you look at,
sorry. I was just going to say, I remember
if you look at the,
go ahead.
We're going to remember this meeting. On February 24th, 2020, the letter that was sent to Janet Coit, if you look at those dates, the February dates do include the February vacation, which is currently ongoing at this point. So Martha's correct.
That was
we have.
I thought that was the first year we did it, though.
It was.
To see how it worked and if the numbers justified it, or if we could rationalize having it open. And of course, when we did that, that was before everything went to heck. I don't know if everybody's left the island this year or not. I have no idea. The way they normally do.
I can tell you,
I know
Martha,
they haven't gone.
having been to the post office today, it was unbelievably empty. And so I think a lot of people have left. But I do remember last year being the first year, or this year being the first year. So I'm with you.
I went to the post office yesterday. It seemed normal.
Other questions? Keith?
I have a question, not about the dates, but about I think it might have been Kirk Littlefield talked to me about the possibility of petitioning DEM over the taking of more bucks. I am not a deer hunter, so we've just plumbed the entire depth of my ability to speak about this. But I just was wondering what is the timeline for making those types of requests to DEM? I know it doesn't have anything to do with the seasons, but this just reminded me that I think it was Kirk that asked me about that.
Marianne, do you want to?
Anybody know?
I have to.
I can tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone else.
We this is a long time ago. Went over to, I think it was a limitless or no. I can't remember what it was. There was some incentive for antlerless deer. The rationale being that the more does you took, the more effective the number would be in reduction. But apparently, hunters just want to hunt the ones with the big racks, and or a lot of hunters do, And I'm not going to get into a biology lesson with those people. If there are enough hunters who truly feel that they would take more deer if they were allowed to take more with antlers, I think that's worth revisiting.
I think that's a good, the focus now is on dates. I agree with you, Keith, though. Let's figure out how to do that as we move forward, both with DEM and overall permissions.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I sidetracked us. I just was curious about that
You
process.
sidetracked us? We don't sidetrack.
The answer is we're going to remember this meeting, so we got to keep. Okay. Order. Would love to hear from the public. I know Chris Blaine, you have your hand up. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, I have a request to make of the council, and I was looking at the hunting dates that have been put forward. I had a letter forwarded to me from the town hall by email, and the recommendation, if I've read it right, for the pheasant hunting dates for 2021, 2022. Is everybody with me?
Yep, I am.
You have November 10th in there, and the request I'm making is to change that date from November 10th and make it similar to what we had this year, even though we kind of lost out on that, is bring it closer to Thanksgiving as opposed to earlier, because a lot of the deer hunters, the peak of the rut is during the beginning of November, and losing a deer hunting day, it kind of rubs some of the deer hunters the wrong way. So trying to make everybody happy, I was just wondering if the town council, all you'd have to do is take the November 10th pheasant day and move that to what I would ask you to move it to would be November 17th, 2021, and then make November 10th a deer hunting day. So it's a pretty simple change. If you could do it. And the reason I ask that is because as I said, it's just a difficult thing for the deer hunters to lose a day that early in November. It's more or less the peak of the rut. Thank you,
Chris. Kathy Marola, if you could help me for a minute, if we're affirming the 2021, 22 dates, can we make a change in that affirmation?
Marianne, when do they have to go to the state?
What I would do here is once the council approves the particular letter, I would the dates. I would then I would send a letter to DEM.
So can I make a motion to approve the dates as proposed with the changes outlined by Chris Blaine?
If you can tell us those dates, that I'll second it.
I can't.
Yeah, if you can.
No, it's the 10th
Yeah, I would.
And November 10th, deer hunting. Pheasant is 10th to the 17th. Deer hunting on the 10th.
Pheasant is moving the early date for pheasant hunting to the 17th, and changing the swapping out the early pheasant date for a deer hunting day. Is that November 10th or 9th? November 10th. That's my motion.
Marianne, you good? You okay? Second for discussion.
Just, can someone repeat those dates again? I've somehow lost something in the shuffle here.
We're going from the 10th to the 17th for pheasant.
So, okay, so it's going to be the 17th and the 24th. Yep.
And then we're going to have the 10th be a deer hunting day. And Chris, if I'm wrong about that, please jump in.
Yeah, so deer hunting is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, So 6 and 7 must be the weekend, 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
No 11, then 12, and no 13, 14, because that must be the weekend. Got it.
Motion was made and seconded. Martha or anybody comments? Martha, Mark.
No
And
comment.
my only comment is if Keith went sideways, I'm going to go even further. We commit to eradication. That D word will never have to be on another agenda again.
I agree with you, and it was something I said as a goal as well. I think here this is about dates and
Understood.
just affirming, but I do think that's a goal and a discussion we need to and will, or with Andre here, will have. And yes, I look forward to having that discussion. Any other comments?
Can I speak? Is it
Motion.
possible?
Oh, yes, please, Chris. Thank you.
I would like to ask the council to approve what they've talked about here, which is the 2021 and 2022, but I think it's time for the town. I think it's time for the town to sit down with the state and have a meeting, as was proposed a couple of years ago. Everything went sideways with COVID. The lottery in Black Rock, the signage, there's a lot of issues there that I think require some addressing by the state and possibly Fish and Wildlife and the town on how to run this system better and how to get some better cooperation and enforcement on Block Island. Nobody's out here checking anything. There's no check station. It's kind of a free-for-all, and everybody knows it. And I think that the time has come for the new council to draw a line in the sand and say, look, the state is going to have to meet some expectations. It's great to talk about harvesting deer, but I really think, you know, if any of you have looked at the abstract or the Rhode Island Hunting and Trapping Regulation Guide, the request that was made to them last year wasn't followed. First Warden Lacoste requested that the ordinance that the town passed about using non-toxic shot for pheasant hunting be included. It was not included. These regulations are done on a yearly basis, and there's a public meeting on the mainland on a yearly basis. The only place they ask for these regulations this far in advance is Block Island. And I think it's time to kind of put the brakes on and say to DEM, let's have a meeting on Block Island where we can address some of these questions instead of shoveling it all onto the town council's plate. From my perspective, you know, this new town council has a lot to work on, and I think it's time that the state step up.
Thank you, Chris. Given that the focus of this agenda item is on dates, I think your point, Chris, sort of ties right into Mark, and let's really have discussion as to both long-term, how do we think about eradication, et cetera, but then on the short term, how do we make sure that enforcement and guidelines, rules, agreements are followed? And it's really in light of what I'll say in this year, the number of people on Block Island, the number of people taking walks all winter has significantly jumped. So therefore, what used to be very quiet areas and land that people knew now has a lot of folks who were not here a year ago or even 2 years ago. So I think there's a new environment that we need to speak to. And Chris, I'm very supportive of getting DEM and Fish and Wildlife out here on Block Island. But the vote is on the dates. We have a motion about switching the Pheasant Day and the deer hunting to November 10th. Let's get through that one, and then we can talk about 22, 23. So this is regarding 21, 22. Keith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. So the 2021-2022 dates have been affirmed with the changes noted by Councilman Stover. Marianne, do you want to talk at all about 22, 23? We have the memos in front of us, but I didn't know if you wanted to mention anything.
I'm sorry, I thought we were only voting on pheasant days. That was everything?
That was everything.
We just voted on deer
Oh.
as well, going to November 10th.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about only the pheasant days.
Do you want to discuss
I
anything?
changed I want to change my vote. I just don't think it's been proven that we have to have the February vacation.
Um,
So that's all. I just want to change my vote.
Can we, Mary?
I apologize for that.
No, don't apologize at all. Kathy, just from a process point of view, since the vote's been taken, how do I do that?
The full vote has not been taken yet, so it's not ended. So you can change your vote before that happens.
Thank you. So Martha is not voting yes and voting nay on the 2021, 2022 dates. And so
Only
it's,
because of the February hunting, I am in favor of the pheasant change.
no, understand. No, that's no problem. So it's a 3-1 on those dates. 2022, 2023, Marianne, do you have any top line you want to provide?
The dates that are before you for the 22-23 season are similar to what we've had done in other years.
Yep.
So you can move it if you want to look at the pheasants and change it similarly to what you did this year. You can for next year. That's fine also.
Does anybody have any questions on the council?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna not vote for the next schedule because there's just too many variables. First of all, we don't have the school vacation. Sometimes they change depending on what the school committee thinks might be better for the children or for the teachers or for the school in general. And these vacation things, we're not 100% sure, like Martha said, whether it's one or as close to 100% safe as I would like to see it. So I'm not ready to vote. Or I will not vote on the second half of this request.
Any other comments, Keith or Martha?
Mark's point makes sense to me.
Question to
Oh,
Kath.
I'm sorry. I was on mute.
Go ahead.
We have somebody who's been trying to get on and can't.
Oh, get on the call
The
or
num-
just,
Get on the call. It's some no, they're on the call. They can't get into it's 742-5243.
I don't see them here. Sean, do you see that?
It's
number?
Doug Michelle.
Oh, okay. Doug,
I don't see that number either.
I don't see him on there. Doug, are you here?
Do you see something that says
I guess-
Michelle's iPad? No?
No.
No?
Yes, you're right.
HDL.
MICHEL iPad. Yep.
Martha, what's the phone number so I can send him a phone invite?
742-5243.
Thank you, Martha.
They just, I got a text. I don't know if we can do this. That they just want to go on record as being against hunting February vacation or in school vacations.
Okay.
It's both Doug and Barbie and Michelle.
Sure. If they can jump on, point heard, but if they can jump on, that would be great as well. Marianne or Kathy, quick question. Do we need to, from any process with DEM, Fish and Wildlife, anybody, do we need to set dates now for 22, 23? Or can we delay that and have a full agenda item on deer hunting and wait for the school calendar? I'm asking about timing and process. Or Molly. Somebody.
So the school calendar, just as an aside, in the past year and also this year has been driven by the Rhode Island Department of Education, where they've been coming out with the calendar and asking all schools to adopt it, to have a statewide calendar. So the school districts have lost some of their ability. They haven't lost their ability. There's nuances in as it relates to school calendars. So where I'm going with this is we may not know until sometime down the road what the school calendar is going to be. With that said, I think if you want to hold off until March 1st and let me spend some time chatting with the superintendent of schools, I'll be happy to do that. And I'm not sure if you folks want feedback. I could look into possibly getting feedback as to what happened during school vacation this year as relates to hunting. It'll be anecdotal. It won't be any metrics or data or statistics, so it will be anecdotal. With that said, I did hear that the ferries heading off island on Sunday and Monday were pretty crowded with families. So, I'll be happy to do that for you.
Got it, Michelle, hold on. Hey, Michelle, hold on. Doug, hold on 1 second. I see you there. Thank you. Hold on 1 second. Chris Blaine's hand's been up. Chris, go ahead. Chris Blaine. Okay, if you can unmute yourself, Chris. Chris Blaine. Thank you. Chris, unmute. Okay, well, Chris, hold on a second. Doug and Michelle, you had the floor, and Chris will jump on after.
Hi, it's Barbie
Hi.
Michelle.
Sorry,
And,
that's what I meant, Barb. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm speaking to the school calendar. In previous years, there has not been hunting during school vacations. Should we penalize the children that are not able to go on vacation and limit their access to the outdoors? It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't make sense to me. This year, you say, okay, the boat was filled. Well, on Mondays, people are going off because that's the one long day to go off. There are families did leave the island, but there are families that stayed on the island who went off for a day, took their kids off. I think you draw a line between kids who can go away and kids who can't and are stuck on Block Island without as many things to do. And why can't they enjoy nature? We personally really felt it this week, not being able to utilize the trails.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much, Barbara.
We've heard that some people say, well, I want to walk some of the nature trails, all the ones that TNC has built up. And the answer is they're not safe. Go walk on the beach. And that's not right. And that's all I'm going to say. You've heard me talk enough about the past.
Also, there are people who are coming to Block Island for this week. There are people who have homes on the island who have chosen this as their vacation because they don't want to fly or they don't want to do other things, who are assuming that they can utilize the trails. And because in previous years, they have been able to. I mean, I was shocked when I saw in the paper that this week that there was hunting. I mean, the ultimate goal here is to keep people safe. Besides, I know we want to take care of the deer, but do we want people and children in jeopardy?
Thank you very much, Barbie and Doug. Really appreciate the input and really thank you very much. Just as background, I know when this was voted on in the past, the discussion at that time, just as background, was that there were a number of students who wanted to hunt and there was sort of a discussion as to the students who want to hunt, when is their time. So that was a big driver at that time. But I think your points are very, very well taken. And as we discuss, especially 22, 23, I think we should take that into consideration. So thank you.
The other thing is, as Mary Ann was referring to the school calendar being controlled by the state, it will always, at least 1 week will always be consistent, and that is President's Week. So whether we are able to tweak our calendar next year, President's Week will always be the February vacation. Block Island may have it extended as in previous years, but that is one that you could count on. And I just want to say that I'm sorry to be jumping in after that vote. I tried to email or text counselors because we could not get in until now. So we could not speak before that. So.
And I apologize for that.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Barbie, and thank you, Doug, very, very much. Other comments? Chris Blaine, I think your hand is up. If you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I think I'm unmuted.
You are.
Okay, so two things. Number one, I was on the boat Monday, and I don't know whose anecdotal evidence we're listening to, but there was no mass exodus that I could see of Block Island families. Number two, I was opposed last year to the hunting during the February vacation. You know, any of the students that are hunting in school, any of the hunters that are still in school, let me phrase that properly, they're not allowed to hunt unless they're with an adult that has a hunting license. Now, I would raise my hand and volunteer to take any one of them hunting. But I can tell you that I have not seen any students in the Block Island School hunting during this week or any other week for that matter. So I'm not in favor of hunting during the school vacation. Not at all. This week is a short week anyway. President's Day was Monday. There was no deer hunting. So you gain 4 days. What I would suggest that the council do is take a look at the number of deer taken during this week. I would be very surprised if it makes any significant difference in the number of deer taken. I was able to take one today myself. Maybe there were a few more taken this week, but I very much doubt that even a dozen deer would be taken during this week. And if it's a question of public safety versus a few more deer taken, even though I'm a deer hunter, I'll go with public safety and people's ability to enjoy the outside any day. So I would urge the council to look at the number of deer taken. And if it's not significant, then don't have hunting during the February vacation. We never did it before. One of the things you could always count on is no deer hunting on school vacation or weekends or holidays. And I think it was a poor practice last year to open it, but as a test, I just don't see that it gained much. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Barbie and Doug, for the very good comments. Mary Ann, just going back, if right now we're talking about 22, 23, can we roll that to March 1st? You're comfortable? And be able to get the work, some analysis done, like you said?
Yes.
Do we have to make a motion to defer that or just roll it over, Kathy?
You can defer that without a motion.
Okay, I would like to defer it and get the information regarding school, DEM, Fish and Wildlife, like Mary Ann mentioned, and let's have it on the agenda for the 22-23 season. And I think the input we got tonight was very helpful. Mary Ann, if there's a way to look at the number of tags returned or the number of counts at all during this week, that would maybe help us think about 22 for school vacation, because I think Barbie and Doug raised a very good point, as well as Chris.
Sure, absolutely.
Alrighty. Thank you very, very much. Next on the agenda, any other topics on that?
Yes, Sven, why do we or why does DM need something that far in advance? If we commit to something that far in advance, it forecloses any other options we might want to take as far as a more aggressive deer hunting season or numbers allowed, all those variables. If the goal, as it should be, is eradication, I wouldn't want to foreclose on any other options that might get rid of as many deer as safely, as quickly, and as productively as possible. Is there a need for us to plan that far in advance?
I'm going to pose that to Marianne, and we'll hear about that on the 1st. Because you will know more. Well, I mean, it's a great question in this topic. All righty. Any other comments? All righty. Hearing none, we'll move to the next item, which is discuss and act on awarding the Boston Post cane. Marianne, do you, or I know Molly's always been near and dear to her heart. You want to help us with this?
I don't know much about this, but I'll be happy to help you with it. And I learned a little bit about this with Andre this afternoon. And there's a memo regarding the Boston Post cane. And I guess it's usually given to the oldest resident on the island. And it's my understanding that the oldest resident on the island right now is a woman by the name of Betty Fitzpatrick. So that's what's before you this evening.
All righty. Thank you. Before we make a motion, Martha, Mark, Keith, this is a longstanding tradition on Block Island. Now Marianne is part of that longstanding tradition, so she gets it. Anybody have any comments?
Yeah, does she want it? We've had other ones who refused it.
I'm going to venture a good guess on this one.
I am too, but in the past, people have said they don't want it because it is one of those. Martha, any comments, or Keith?
Well, I realize
No,
that
it's
some
wonderful.
people have food. One person who didn't want it had it for 7 years. Some people
really
have
didn't
lived
want
as long as 11 years. No, they had it for that long because it's the old joke. You get the cane, you're the oldest person, you're going to die. And so obviously some people didn't have it terribly long. Other people, if you go look at this list, I'm amazed. Abraham Lincoln Payne Sr. had it for 11 years.
Yep. So Marianne, just to confirm, Ms. Fitzpatrick is, in your knowledge, because not the eldest person on that list necessarily, but the eldest resident. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. That's correct.
I make a motion that we award the Boston Post cane to Ms. Fitzpatrick, the most senior resident on the island.
Second.
Thank you very much, Mark. Molly,
Yes.
stay in your seat. Stay in your seat. I'd like to take a vote. Mark.
Yes, Betty's wonderful.
Keith.
Yes.
Martha.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative, and hopefully, Molly, that's unanimous. And hopefully, Molly, you can bring the cane to Ms. Fitzpatrick. And it's a very, as Mark said, wonderful woman, and thank you very much. All righty. Next on the agenda is act on appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Molly, do you want to do a quick update? Or Marianne?
Okay. Molly, do you want to run with this? Here it is. All right. It looks like the Block Island Early Learning Center Board of Directors, Town Representatives, one for a 2-year position. Board of Canvassers, 2 1-year alternate. Commission for Motor Vehicles hired, not licensed, 2 1-year positions. Conservation, 1 3-year. Deer Task Force, 3 1-year. Northlight, 1 3-year. Planning Board, 1 5-year. Sewer District, 1 1-year alternate. Same thing with the water. And Zoning Board, 1 1-year alternate. And Molly would know if there are any folks interested in these positions. In any of the boards. Molly, do we have anyone interested?
We've had one person for the Block Island Early Learning Center Board of Directors. The Board of Canvassers is the first posting of a 1-month posting. Those openings are renewed annually in March. So that the Board of Canvassers, everyone wants to renew, and those openings are not yet ripe.
Yep.
Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire, we've had no one express interest. Conservation Commission, I believe we have no one. Deer Task Force, no one at this point, and there was a preliminary, there was a little bit of talk of taking that up at a work session. Was that your recollection, Marianne?
Yes.
Yes.
North Light Commission, you've had 2 people offered to serve on that. I've forwarded both emails to you. Planning Board, again, is not yet ripe, but you've had several offers to serve on that. And nothing for sewer and water, and nothing for zoning.
So based on that, what I heard, Marianne, is we can either delay or move on the North Light. There are 2 positions, names that we've gotten for that.
Correct.
And
Sven, I have to recuse on the Early Learning Center because my daughter is the applicant, I believe.
hadn't gotten there yet, but yes, when we get
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry, Sven.
No,
I
it's okay.
just didn't want to.
But that was Early Learning Center was 1 and Northlight was 2. Is that correct, Marianne?
Correct.
Okay, Mark, you ready to make some motions?
I don't have those names in front of me.
All righty.
Well, the Early Learning Center is Claire Stover Cummings.
Okay, I'll make the motion on Claire, and then Martha, you can make the 2 motions on the Northlight. I make a motion that Claire Stover Cummings be appointed to the Early Learning Center Board in the open position.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. And by the way, Keith Stover has recused. And so there are 3 of us here to vote because Andre is not here. Any questions, Martha, Mark, or myself? Nope, not hearing any public questions. Not hearing any. I'm ready to take a vote. Mark, Martha, how do you feel about appointing Claire Stover Cummings to the Early Learning Center?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
I vote in the affirmative as well. It's unanimous, and welcome Mrs. Cummings to the Early Learning Center Board, and thank you so much for serving. Martha, do you want to make a motion on the Northlight Fibers?
I don't have the
Northlight
Northlight.
So the Northlight, I have the Northlight is 1, Molly, on this. Is it 1 or 2?
There's 1 opening.
No.
1 opening.
And the 2 names are, to confirm? Molly?
I don't remember seeing those.
Molly, do you?
There is, you have There's no actual hurry on this, and it might be better to put it off at this point.
Okay,
Only
good.
because the second offer is not right in front of me.
All right, then let's put that off to the next meeting. And so we made one appointment to the Early Learning Center, and please confirm, Marianne, but I think that's it for now.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next agenda item.
I'll just make one request. I cut my teeth back in the late 80s getting involved with the Conservation Commission and zoning. And it was my way of giving back something to the island, getting involved in public service, certainly not politics. I don't like politics. So this is a chance for a lot of people who are just on the fence to come forward and get active in the town of New Shoreham. We would appreciate it.
Very well.
I just would like to second what Mark just said, and having served on zoning and needing to get off, and I know Martha has talked about zoning before as well. It's an opportunity to work with some really bright people, extraordinary staff on very important issues to the island. And it's not a gigantic time commitment, but it is, that's where local government works, you know, in places like zoning and planning and North Light Commission, all these things, you know, if you're wondering kind of what you can do to help the town, to make your town better, to be a part of your town, please do these things. I mean, jeepers, it doesn't take much time and it's really important.
Thank you very much. And Mark, Martha.
And could I just say, add something to that?
Please.
The conversations about zoning in particular, from my perspective, you get an idea of how the ordinances about a process, and process is so terribly important. And zoning is all about process, and it's a really, really good background to have. And there's good guidance. We've got a great, good staff and good attorney.
Yeah, I think.
So people shouldn't feel intimidated.
And I would encourage anybody, and I do encourage Rosemary, if you're on, and the Block Island Times, you know, I think there are many boards and committees that are really opportunistic learning environments. And I think we all agree on that. Obviously, we are very passionate about the community and giving back, as is everybody. And hopefully, you know, everybody's got their different ways to do it. Some people are in the fire department and others, but I do think, to Mark's comment, you know, conservation is one set of questions, if that's what your love is. Zoning is exactly process and regulations and really checking the dotted I's and the crossed T's. So there's really a range of activities and ways to be part of the solution. Thank you to everybody for those comments.
Okay, Sven?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to Northlight. I had forgotten this. I think we all did get a letter. Molly, have we had 2 letters come in or just 2 inquiries? Molly?
I know you had one letter to offer to serve. Honestly, I thought there was another, but I don't see it.
Now that I'm doing this, I remember it.
Right, I forwarded everything that's come in.
Martha, unless you're want to change it, I don't know that there's a rush to this one. It's not in any negative or any comments about the letter I have in front of me, but if there are 2, I just think it's fair that we see both. I only have one.
That was why I asked. That's why I asked if there were actually 2 letters, if there was just one inquiry that hadn't followed through.
Okay. So are you comfortable waiting till March 1st on this?
We can. I mean, I'm comfortable with appointing the name we have in front of us also. I guess a good candidate.
If you want to make a motion, you're all ears are with you.
I would move to appoint Julie Fuller to the North Light Commission. It's been established. Julie is a resident of the town. She has a longstanding commitment to a number of different organizations in the town, both private and nonprofit, and she has a personal connection that I think would make her a very good fit for this a family history, make her a very good fit for the North Light.
I will second that because I
Second.
agree with you 1,000,000%. Thank you, Martha, and seconded by me. Any questions of the council members? Any questions in the public? Not hearing any questions or comments. There's a motion on the floor and love to take a vote. Mr. Stover,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
and Sven votes aye. And that would be unanimous for votes for Miss Julie Fuller to be on the North Light Commission, which, by the way, is the namesake of a little company on a farm. But it's a great commission, and I can never thank Robbie enough for everything he's done on that. It's a great group.
Yes.
You're here. Next subject is receive and act on minutes. And Molly, thank you so much for sending a lot out in the last few days. I think Andre not being here, I'd love to just make sure if he has any questions or comments on them. And Marianne, unless we need to do them right now, I'd love to just delay those to March 1st, just in case Andre has a question.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. And Molly, thank you so much for getting all of them out.
Yeah, let's commit to that because it's getting pretty voluminous.
Yep, I agree. I agree, and I'm glad we had them in front of us. But just in case Andre has a question. The next item is to discuss and act on potential acquisitions of real estate. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I believe we're going to defer this because there's a meeting on Friday, and Friday at 2 p.m., which we would love people to join. Unfortunately, it's going to be probably closed session, but just to let everybody know. And so we will defer on this item till a Friday meeting, which has been posted. The next item is to receive and act on Champlin's Realty Associates versus Paul E. Lamont et al. I don't know if I have to read the rest of it, but okay, I will. Consolidated with Town of New Shoreham versus Coastal Resource and Management Council of the State of Rhode Island. This item may be held in closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2 for discussions pertaining to litigation. To keep the breath going here, the next item is discuss and act on a memorandum of agreement between the Town of New Shoreham, Rhode Island, and New Shoreham Employees Association, Local 2855, Rhode Island Council 94, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO. This discussion may be held in closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. And then the third item that is sort of in this bucket is receive and act on report from town solicitor regarding Finnemore and Fisher et al. Versus Town of New Shoreham et al. WC-2021-0063. This item may be held in closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2 for sessions pertaining to litigation. Before we go into closed session, Marianne or Solicitor Marola, can you give us any indication on these and help people understand what they are about?
Sure. On the Champlin's Realty Associates case, the memorandums have been filed with the Supreme Court in opposition to the joint motion of CRMC and Champlin's to approve the alleged mediation agreement. Also, administrative appeal was filed, and that was filed in the Washington County Superior Court. And lastly, at the end of last week, the Rhode Island Supreme Court granted the motion of the Attorney General to intervene in the case in the Supreme Court.
Okay, and any update on the other two items that we can?
I'll run with the number 18. This is a negotiation item with Council 94 of the union for a number of the staff people here. We've been in negotiations regarding a couple of items, and we're presenting an MOU to the council this evening.
Thank you. And on the last item, just for people that are still on the phone, Kathy, can you help us on item number 19, which is the Finnemore and Fisher?
It's very early stages, so I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. If I need to have specific language here, I make a motion that we keep the current meeting open, but that we go into closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42, 46, 5A2 for discussions pertaining to the three items that were identified.
I'll second that. I have a question about item number 20. Are we going to have to go into closed session, come out, and then vote on item 20, or can we take care of that now?
We need to do that later.
Later.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Great question, Mark. So a motion is to go into closed session pursuant to what I said, Rhode Island General Law 42, 46, 5A2. And Keith, did you second that?
Mark did.
Oh, Mark, sorry. Mark, thank you. Keith, how do you vote to go into closed session?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sven says yes as well. For those who are on the phone, we will go, we'll keep, Marianne, correct me, but we'll keep the open session open, and then we will drop into a closed session. We will come out of that closed session and rejoin the open session and say what can be said, as well as jump into item number 20, which is on the agenda at the bottom.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you all who want to hang out. And Sean, thank you. I will see everybody on the other side in the closed session. Thank you. Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Sean. Others should be joining in a second.
Yep.
Sean, are you able to let people in from the waiting room?
Yes.
Okay, I think there are a couple of people in there unless they've all bounced out.
I'm here.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Martha. And Mark's here, Keith's here, I'm here, and Mary Ann, you're here? And Kathy Marola.
Go ahead.
Kathy Marola here yet? Not yet.
I'm here.
Yes, yes, she is.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. I think there's at least one person who's here or two. I make a motion to seal the minutes from the closed session.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. And let's take a roll call vote. Keith?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative as well. It's unanimous to close the, seal the minutes from the closed session. I will give a quick review on item number 17. No decisions were made, and which was the Champlain's Realty Associates versus Paul E. Lamont. On item number 18, a vote was taken 4-0 or unanimous in closed session regarding the memorandum of agreement between the town of New Shoreham, Rhode Island, and New Shoreham Employees Association, Local 2855, Rhode Island Council 94, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO. Mary Ann, do you, well, and then on the last one, which regarded the town solicitor regarding Finnemore and Fisher, no votes were taken. Mary Ann, do you want to speak for a minute regarding the, I'm sorry?
Oh, I wasn't on mute, sorry.
Okay, sure. I will, yes, I will go quickly through the terms. This is an MOA regarding an MOA. It was initiated by an MOA that was entered into late last spring with COVID. So the terms that was agreed to, there's just a couple of them, that the wage and salaries that was effective July 1, 2020 shall now be effective October 1st, 2020. The original, the wages that were slated for July 1st, 2021 will be in effect on July 1st, 2021. Employees that accumulated comp time during the COVID will be able to use that comp time through December 31st, 2021. And at these employees' discretion, up to 50% of the accumulated comp time can be donated to the sick bank for the union. Contract terms remain effective 7/1/2019 through 6/30/2022. The agreement is that the building official's position will no longer be part of the union, and any previous MOA entered into shall be null and void. And those were the terms and conditions that were negotiated and agreed to.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you very much. Anything else for a closed session? Because we still have one more item on the agenda. Mary Ann?
Ben, you
We
need
have
to
to
take a vote.
recreate the vote, Sean.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
you need to
Sam.
revote.
Yep. Keith, do you want to make a motion or do you want me to do it? That's it. You want me to do it?
I would make the motion to approve the MOA as described on the agenda and by the town manager.
That's enough. I second it.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Mark. Motion made and seconded. Okay, Kathy, on that?
Yes, now we got to vote.
Yep, I got it. Martha,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Keith,
Yes.
and Sven votes affirmative as well. Again, motion passes 4-0, unanimous. Unfortunately, First Warden Boudreau is not here today, and so it's 4-0. All righty. Good. Now, for the last item on the agenda, and I know this is a little unusual, but there's an open agenda now, which is discuss and act on hearing date for moped license renewals. I would like to make a motion that we set the hearing date for the moped license renewals on March 4th at 7 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? All righty, we'll take a vote. Martha, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stover, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Sven votes affirmative as well. Unanimous decision to set the public hearing date for moped license renewals on March 4th at 7 p.m. 2021. Is there anything else before I make a motion to adjourn at 10:08 p.m.? Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Martha. You guys could be a little faster on that one. Ms. Ball, how do you vote? Ms. Ball, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Manuel.
Aye.
Mr. Stover.
I'm a firm yes.
And Sven votes yes. Unanimous to adjourn. And we will see you all March 1st.
Sven, job
Thank
well
you.
done.
Yeah,
Nicely
Thank you,
done.
guys.
yeah, short notice.
Good night, all.
Talk to you.
Good night.
Thanks so
Nice to
much,
see you,
Sean
Doctor.
and Sean and Molly and
Thanks,
everybody in the
everybody.
clerk's office. Thank you for all your help tonight.
You did good, Sven.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.